big thing here is that it's much quieter than the other one. And then secondly, we've kind of built in some safety features on this. First of all, when you turn on, power switch is in the same place. At the end of the case, don't worry about turning the power off at the switch. These are okay to just unplug and then just plug it in and have it power up the next time you plug it in. So I think yours stay in the room most of the time, so they're always plugged in. But anyways, first thing that comes up is just a warning. I think you've probably heard this a number of times. Don't connect it directly to a chest tube, passive drain tube. Don't connect it to closed wound drains on there. And then don't connect directly to tracheal tubes on there. As you all know, many years, it's been a while actually now, there was a recall on this because somebody did hook it up to a passive chest drain. Didn't happen in the OR, it was pulled out of the OR. We're still trying to, I don't understand how that happened, but somebody took it out of the OR, up in the ICU and did it, so very sad. But anyways, so on here, we're just gonna confirm, hey, I just looked at that stuff, and then it goes over to our, basic setup on here. Manifold, we put it in, we even have a little check mark for you on here. So when I hook this in, same manifold as you're using currently. When I hook it in, we got our little check mark. Hey, I put the manifold in. It says turn it clockwise. I turn it clockwise and boom. So we're all set up and ready to go. On a day-to-day basis, you're pretty much done right here. You're just gonna hit start suction and turn up your whatever level you wanna go to. That's how loud it is. And that's a room in here with maybe a little bit of echo, not a lot, with no other sounds in the OR. Okay? So it's much quieter on here. Same functions as before. The one thing I want to point out is if you'll notice on here, when I put one in here that says, this is one of the safety features we built into it, it says new on here, and it's got a little white picture of a white manifold. So there's actually a chip on the side of these that reads it. So if you're setting up for a case, once I turn this on, it'll say new, you can leave them in there, but once I turn this on and turn on suction on there, it turns purple and used. So what's behind that is if you come into a room and you're setting up, and this thing's plugged in, and it's a brand new case and you see that this is purple, I'd be a little concerned. I would check this, okay? So part of the RFID technology is this does time out after 36 hours. So if you're gonna use this and you're gonna take it and put it into another canister or something like that, you're gonna be fine swapping it over in the middle of cases. But if we got a used one in there that somebody's used after 36 hours, it's just not gonna work on there, okay? We're gonna give you a little indicator of what where you're at on here. So right now I've got no suction on there. As I turn it up, it turns a color, it says low. We go up to medium. At 120, same as the other one, we're gonna get that little chime. That's just to let you know, hey, we went into high suction. Just know that the bar is set very low. At 120, that's a pretty low. We're just being really careful because of what happened during our recall on there. There's no literature out there, and believe me, we spent a lot of time researching it, that says for this specific case, we have this much, we recommend this much suction. It's really dependent on the doctor giving you feedback, whether they want more or less. Obviously, critical structures, you're working around critical structures, we're gonna have it down a little bit. There's also another feature on this that now we've put a light on here. So if you're across the room and somebody starts saying, hey, there's no suction, and you look over, white, it's gonna be no suction. As I turn it up, it changes colors. We're at high, it's orange there. You can say, doctor, there's something in the line or something or somewhere. The thing's on right now, This one will go a little bit higher than the old one. It's 520. I don't think it's going to be something you'll really notice. The other one, these have plenty of suction, consistent suction. So just how do you do all your functions? There's a menu on the side here. Starting at the top, we've got our powered IV pole, just like the other one on here. We've got the evacuation of the smoke right here. We turn this on, it gives you two options here, on or auto. What I've been telling everybody here is just do it on so it becomes white noise in the room. But if you're not going to be using the ESU unit a lot, the auto function is nice because the motor goes down into an idle. It's pretty darn quiet. There's a little bit of suction associated with it. Once this starts detecting some smoke coming through, then the motor kind of comes up. But if they're doing a lot of if they're using an ESU unit a lot, you know, you hear this going up and down, so they'll notice it more on there. These are a little bit quieter than the other ones. I would recommend 40 to 70 on there. All of these should have, I'm gonna double check, but all the new ones have our quiet motor. Be honest with you, I'm not sure. This one's been here a couple years and I'm not sure if this one has the quiet motor. If it's not, I'll check into it and we'll get it changed out for you. So, to me, that sounded a little bit louder than our new ones.
Because we have one that's wider than that.
Yeah, yeah. So, if we're using the top canister, typically you're going to want to use the top canister if you want, if EBL is more important there. This top canister is plus or minus 50 mLs on the top. The bottom one's like plus or minus 150. So if blood loss or whatever is important, use the top one. If this starts to fill up, it's going to give you a warning up here. It's going to let you know that it's filling. Just know that it will not overflow on you. And then once it does, it'll actually stop and it'll say, hey, we're full. And then there's just a simple empty 4-liter canister. You hit that, it's about 30 seconds to drop down. It's very quick. And then it actually, you will lose suction during those 30 seconds. So you're going to want to warn the surgeon. The times that I've seen it used, it's really never been an impact on the procedure. It's very quick, and it does keep a running total of your total use fluid. Reset volumes. Do you guys ever use these leave it in the room and just switch out, or do you always empty it? I think UC's policy is always to empty it. Does that sound right? Okay. That's okay. It is approved to be used on multiple cases as long as you put a new manifold in for each patient. And we even put what we call a privacy screen in here, so if another patient does come in the room and you don't want a SIM to see what was in there, we can close this up so they don't see anything. Okay, top and bottom on there. And then you would hit reset volume and you'd start out at 0 again. Another new feature on this, which we've added now, is we've added a 4-liter light on the top. Remember I said this is typically where you want to make it more accurate. So if you really want to see, good news, this has been used. So, so this will help separate. You'll see that separation of the blood and the fluid on there. So I'll have my tech when we come in on Saturday. Look at that.
Thank you.
Any feature that is on here, I don't know if you guys can see the menu here, but right now it's colored green. So if I had the smoke evac on, that would be colored green. So if you're in the room, you come in and relieve, and you're curious if something's on. If it's green, it's on there. Okay. And then last but not least, there's a settings menu on here. Accessories is kind of where we see how many hours are on here. There's a HEPA filter, which is down here, which has to do with the canisters. That's for odor control. That's 500 hours. That's typically changed out in the PMs. That's not something you guys are doing. Okay. These, I'm not sure what your policy, who switches these out. If that's a biomed issue, if you guys call biomed and they do it, they know how to do it. But there is an hour counter. So if if you're curious how many hours are left on this, if you got a locked case. So these filters last 80 hours. They only work when the smoke evac motor, or it's only counting down, I should say, when the smoke evac motor is turned on, okay? So just know that every time you plug the thing in and use it, you're not counting down on that filter. It's only when you're using the smoke evac on there. So, last but not least, with that RFID technology, these guys pull it off, the RFID, when they reprocess. So I'll talk to them, materials is aware. So if you see, when these come in, if some of these start showing up and you see this plastic on there, just know, just get a new one on there. And then put this aside, so.
So they're gonna take them out, put them in a recycle bin? Recycle bin?
Yeah, that's like, that's what other places do.
So I've done that before, but the recycled ones would come in and they would leak. So is that improved?
So, you won't see the recycled ones anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll do the new ones.
So we need another canister?
Another manifold.
You just need to just make sure that the new manifolds.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
question.
they-
Where are we putting the ones to be recycled?
Oh, these? I think it would go in the regular place. You do them in your workrooms right now. I think housekeeping takes these out of the room,
That's-
correct?
So you're gonna talk to EVS about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
So we actually take them off.
They don't take them off.
We just throw them away.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I did not know
Guys,
that.
there is a current program. It's actually EVS's workflow. Leave them on the machine. We talked about this before, but leave them on the machine because they collect them. There is a little bin in this little room. It's their workflow.
Wow.
So leave them on the machine. They will take it.
I was gonna
they'll
say,
put
every
it in the
time
bin.
I've forgotten to take it off, I come back in the room and it's still there.
Yeah.
They forget
So
to
I'll
put it
remind
on.
them.
Yeah, we can send an email to Cassandra,
Or
because
there.
I've seen them in there too.
And remind them when they do